What's good, my boy? Let's say you have a dream or something that you want to pursue, you want to chase a passion. To me, logically, it is like insane not to do it. We're such a small, minute, microscopic speck in the scale of time. And this isn't a nihilistic point of view. But if you look back in the past, the earth has been around for, people say, millions of years. We have all these different evolutions and time periods with millions, billions of people who are forgotten. We don't know everybody's name. They're just kind of like all the old wars. You watch movies like Braveheart or like fucking war movies and you see them just drop like flies. That shit really fucking happens, of course. So we view this life as so precious and something that we must like hold on to, and it's like the only one we get. But then as a society, we don't treat it that way. We take this like super safe route, which I guess to some degree we kind of have to, because if everybody just like went their own way, then if everybody went their own way, then it would probably fall apart for the most part. But we don't have to worry about that because there are millions of consumers. There are millions of people who don't give a fuck, and they live the puppy dog life of rolling around blissfully happy at hedonic shit, and they don't give a fuck. But there are a select few out there that wrestle with this topic in their head of, man, I got this dream, I got this image, I got this something in my head that I want to do that involves me changing up a lot of shit in my life. Part of me's scared, part of me's anxious to do so. And for those people, the answer, without a shadow of a doubt, for me, is always to fucking jump and do it. It's literally illogical not to. The time frame that you have alive, let's say you get one of the lucky ones and you get to live a full 100-year lifespan, which is unlikely. Most of us die between the ages of 70 to 80, for the most part, what I've seen. It's literally like absolutely batshit insane to live your life 40 years doing something you do not want to do. And of course, we play this fucking argument of like, oh, not everybody can do it. Some people are more privileged, and some people have this, and some people have that. I'm not talking about the outliers. Outliers do not dispel what I'm talking about, because again, I'm talking about that one person where there are things that are lining up for them to make a decision, to work. Or you see it clearly, how it could work out. You have all these things in your favor. Don't factor in all the shit. Don't factor in like shit that could completely go wrong, like maybe your whole entire life just fucking randomly falls apart and your apartment gets destroyed by a fucking meteor or some random event. That's not what I'm talking about here, because that can happen, but we're not factoring that in. I'm talking about your living situation, all these things. You factored it in. Maybe you've saved enough money. Maybe you've prepared, planned. You have all these things in order. But something's holding you back, something's keeping you anxious. Maybe you're not disciplined enough. Maybe you don't think that you have anything important to say. Maybe you have, but you have this thing in your head. Do it. Do it. Fucking, it's illogical not to do it, bro. Because you doing this, it might inspire, let's say, a handful of other people to do so as well. That's a given. But the impact that you'll have is not going to change the entire population's life. So you can immediately, everybody can do it, but not everybody will do it. Everybody can and has the possibility in some way, some circumstance to do what they want in this world, but not everybody will do it. So with that knowing that not everybody will do it, take your fucking slice, because you know you will do it. You don't have to think about anything else. Figure out what it is you want to do. Most likely, if you're fucking real into what I'm saying right now, you already have that in the top of your cranium. fuck everything else, fuck everybody else saying that discourages it, fuck the voice in your head that discourages it, and push through it. It is the only logical way to live a fulfilled life in my brain that I can think of. I'm about to take a big leap pretty soon with some shit. And it's gonna change almost the past year that I've been building up. It's gonna take away a lot of that progress. But I cannot be fearful. I cannot be ridden with anxiety, because I know once I take that leap, at first, it's gonna be like, I got that weight off my shoulders. But then, it's all on me. Once that initial excitement goes away, it's all on you. And that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of and are hesitant about, is they don't know if they can live up to that. They find themselves doing things that they're proud of and disciplined shit and getting stuff done. But then there's a lot of days where they prove to themselves, well, maybe I don't have the discipline. No. You got this, bro. Let's say you work a full-time job, for people who don't appreciate you, and you got some sort of side thing that you've been doing or working towards, hobby, passion, whatever. But there's part of you in your mind that thinks that you're not good enough for it yet, or you think that you know you can get good at it, but you have to leave. You have to separate yourself from that career, right? But you're like, man, I still got a lot of lengthway to progress, but I'm not going to progress unless I leave and I dedicate all my time into it. But what if it takes me too long to progress and I don't have enough resources to help me through that time? No, bro. You will find a fucking way. You will find a fucking way, because that is what this is all about. You're going to have 50% a plan, a vision, that's what you're going after, and the other 50 is fucking improvisational jazz of you figuring this shit out. That's the entrepreneurial thing. That's the sovereign individual thing that you have to do. Life will throw you all sorts of random shit, road bumps, luck, positive, negative. You don't fucking know. You can't predict that. What you can predict is that small 50% chunk of a plan. And the other 50 is just straight perseverance through all the shit. Through all of it. Through all of it, bro. Utilize your privilege to better your existence. Some of us I've had times in my life where I've had little golden periods of time where I could have just dedicated myself to something. And I wasted that time in pure hedonism. I didn't give a fuck. I was just numbing myself. And for the longest, I regretted those times. I regretted that. And I don't give a fuck about it anymore, because I'm ready to carve my own time. I'm not going to sit here and think about past times where I could have, should have, would have, could have, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that shit, dog. Make the shit happen now. Make the shit happen now. You really cannot get hung up on that past. Oh, man, I could have. Fuck that shit, bro. For real. I think of one thing of, like, trauma. For the longest time, I thought of trauma as, like, a beneficial thing for us to learn from. Almost like a blessing from God, if you will. I had a lot of shit as a child. I was horrified by boogeyman type things. I was put onto these, like, very, very realistic horror movies and, like, live leak type shit whenever I was, like, 8 years old. And it fucked me up to the point where I remember looking out my window on my days off from school, and I would just be staring. As a young child, my imagination would run wild from seeing these scary movies, and I made these real world scenarios in my head. Maybe I'm retarded, I don't know. Or was retarded, I don't know. But I remember I would stare out of my window waiting for the zombies to start running into my neighborhood, and I would think of ways I could kill myself before they painfully eat me alive. Just crazy tortured shit like that I had. I hated school with a passion, but school was like a relief. And this didn't last for my entire teenage years. This was a brief period until I found weed, and I abused that. I also had a pretty rough upbringing with my parents and shit. There was lots of screaming and just fucking bullshit at all times. It was very, very difficult to remain sane. And I chose video games to release myself. And then, whenever I discovered drugs, alcohol, and weed, I pursued those and dampened that trauma. And instead of the person who was built through that trauma as a teenager, instead of funneling that into a skill or a passion, I chose to put a blanket over it. And then whenever I got 18, I got the biggest, 17 years old, I got the biggest blessing I've ever gotten. I got more random traumatic events. I got a disease that caused abscesses on my fucking body and made me feel like the Elephant Man. I shot myself by accident and had to be life-flighted on my 18th birthday. I had my car stolen a little while after that, and I kept trying. I bettered myself. The first initial two newer traumatic things, I bettered myself. But then I went back into my old habits of trying to dampen that with comfort. And God blessed me again with more traumatic shit that woke me up. It sucked. It fucked up my world for a brief period of time, but it woke me back up and got me back motivated to chase something. So, I know that was a little bit of a ramble on being grateful for traumatic things and benefits of this shit, but it all comes into one thing. I can't think about these past moments when I could have done this or I could have done this. You got this inkling now. This is the most important part. You got this idea, this dream now. And the idea of taking a secured route and not chasing that because you are afraid of what someone will think of you, or you're afraid of where you might be in a couple of years, is illogical. None of this is big on the grand scheme of things. Most likely, you are the fucking disposable asset in the war movie that we forget about. You are the fucking extra that gets shot on the beach. We all are. The only people who are the fucking main Mel Gibson character from Braveheart, I'm using this as the analogy, are the people who took the fucking brave leaps. So become that person. Shed the possibility of you being the fucking disposable asset and make your mark and do what you wanted. What if that dream that you have that might be a God-given mission, a God, whatever, what if that was a thing that changes the fucking world? You would never know until you tried. I know that's a little bit of a narcissistic way to view it, but fuck it. What if? You would live your whole life. I find it insane to me, and through examples of watching people who I love's life, it has made me aware to the fact I do not want to live that existence. Seeing people work things they hate for 40 years because they have taken on responsibilities and they have made choices in their lives that have glued them to these situations. It makes me fearful to live like that. It makes me fearful to take that safe, secure route. That is always an option. The option of working for somebody for the security of a consistent paycheck and a consistent life is there. But for me, that also brings a lot of misery, a lot of fucking longing, a lot of waking up every day, not wanting to do anything. I usually get shit done, but it's still just like 10 times fucking harder, and I don't get to focus on the things I love and the things I want to leave in this world. This video is very dramatic, I understand, but this is all the truth. It is illogical, bro. There are 8 billion of us on this fucking planet, and shit is not going to change just because you decided to chase your fucking dreams. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But most likely, if you go into it with a extreme discipline and extreme drive, you'll be all right. Don't be afraid that you don't have something to say. Don't be afraid that you won't live up to the consistency that you think you need in your mind. Improv. Again. Chase paper. Enjoy nature, my boy. Chase your fucking dreams. It's absolutely insane to me that people I know I sound like an asshole because people get stuck in things and they have these responsibilities, and of course, I agree with that 100%. I also agree that people need to take ownership for the shit that they have built in their life. People often like to make excuses because they can't do something because they have children and shit like that. And let's negate the fact that they chose to sleep with somebody, which led to them having a child. Let's just negate that responsibility for them. Let's also put in the fact that there are examples. There are examples out there who have had it harder than you and have made the shit happen. And that's what I'll leave this with. No matter what excuse you're thinking in your brain or how much you fucking hate me right now, that's the truth that stands. That is the fucking truth that stands. People have had it worse and achieved more. Francis Ngannou, Casey Neistat had children when he became famous. All of these fucking people. Listen to Francis Ngannou's story of trying to get from Africa to France. How many times he failed trying to cross a ocean. The fuck? And you gonna sit here and say, "Oh no, I got this," but you have the comfort to go to the store and just buy junk food and chill. If you want it bad enough, you'll make the shit happen, dog. Chase paper, enjoy nature, chase your fucking dreams.